Hello there, Senators, and welcome back to Star Wars Democracy. We're going to be talking about the Acolyte episode 5 tonight. We have a lot to get into, but first, if you're new here or you're watching this video on replay, would you mind hitting that subscribe button? We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. We're currently at 695, and it would go a long ways if you can hit that subscribe button. It would help the channel out a ton. With me here tonight, we have Journeyman. Journeyman, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Still trying to wrap my head around the whole episode, but doing good.
Yeah, yeah, it was something, and we're gonna get into everything here. So I figured what we could probably do is let's first talk about what we liked about the episode, and then we can get into what we didn't like about the episode, and then we can share our thoughts. Um, not share our thoughts, but give our rating at the end of the episode, or after the end of our discussion here on what we thought out of 10 the episode was. So let's talk about what we like. So for me, I really liked the beginning sequence with the fight scene. I thought that was a good way to start it. I mean, we kind of figured that was going to be how they were going to start it anyway, so not really a surprise there, I feel like.
hmm
Um, but I thought that the action sequences were good. We had heard for a long time that they were going to try and make the fight sequences similar to how the Phantom Menace was, or like try to rival that fight with the Phantom Menace of like just the speed and the agility and the athleticism in that. And I thought that they came pretty close, but I think it still came a little short in terms of you know what they were trying to do. What did you think?
Yeah, so I thought the fight sequences were good. That's the first thing I was going to talk about as well. My first big thought on the whole episode. I know we're going to into what we like, but like I really feel like for dialogue purposes, we really didn't get a lot. Like we did get a lot, but like in like nonverbal stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it was more or less like there was really hardly any dialogue, which I was kind of shocked by how this episode went. But so now, just kind of speaking on the action part, yeah, I think came pretty close to if that's what you're saying, like the Phantom. I feel like they came close. I still don't quite feel like it's there. I don't know why. I don't. I think just back then they had maybe a little bit. George cut it up a bit quicker to where it still felt like it was a quick fight. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my perception of the whole thing. I did like the fighting. I thought the fights I really did like were May and sorry, what's the young Padawan's name again? Um,
Checky.
yes, I love that sequence. I thought that was like a really cool. Like she used a saber too at some point. Like it was really. I love that whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, on that front, I did like that. What else did you like?
Um, what else did I like? This episode was really weird to me. I uh,
Like I said, I think there wasn't much dialogue. Like to me, it wasn't like we didn't really learn that much about it. It was like a really heavily action packed show. The only thing that I
mhm,
really learned from it or gained from it, and what I kind of liked, is we started to see kind of the struggles between Soul and Osha, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was kind of like where I really enjoyed it. Is you had kind of Soul struggling with the fact of like his past might be coming back to haunt him, and then Osha is struggling with the fact that she might be wrong about the Jedi or her perception of them.
yeah.
That was kind of the whole point of this episode is to really get you to understand that.
Yeah, kind of get it set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that aspect of it as well. I think that, I mean, obviously it set the episode up in a really, really the direction we can go is really interesting, right? I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to go this way. I don't
oh
know
boy,
what I was expecting, but I was not expecting us to get this.
yeah, yeah, it was like it's kind of crazy. I was not expecting the episode to end how it did, where we have May going with the Jedi and Osha's going to be going with Chimere, which, spoiler alert, I would assume if everybody, here would know at this point that Chimere was indeed the Sith. It would seem apprentice because he says he's looking for an acolyte. He's looking for a pupil. He's looking for somebody to train. And my theory behind that is he's looking for somebody that he can train up because, with the rule of two, and we assume this to be the rule of two, um, he's looking for somebody he can train up to help him overthrow his master, most likely. And so that's kind of where I think that's going. He wants a pupil. I mean, why else would he want a pupil, right? But you're
Because I
right.
think, yeah, because I think what you're alluding to is like the master is the one with the kind of whip chain lightsaber, right? And so we're still trying to get up to that point.
The whip, the one with the purple lightsaber, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Vernestra Rwoh was in the High Republic. I don't think that Vernestra Rwoh is going to be the Sith Master. I'm not sure who the Master is going to be. I'm hoping it's either Tenebris or Plagueis, just to keep with the continuity of Legends and what we know about canon. But
that was just where I jumped to. I'm not privy to everything. I was just like, that only made sense to me.
But Chimere was very, very powerful. Which is interesting. He said he also doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name, but he calls himself. It's funny enough though. He does call himself a Sith.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean,
one you might call a Sith.
Yeah, he's like a Jedi. You might call me a Sith, which is like, was he calling himself a Sith, or was he saying like I'm like a Sith? Like, you know what I mean by that? He's like, yeah, I wrote that line down, kind of taking notes. But it was interesting. He's like, the Jedi, someone like you might call me a Sith, and it's like, well, are you really? Are you calling yourself a Sith, or are you? What are you? Yeah. That's what Saul asked him. What are you? We have Senator Tony with us here. Tony says, "Hi, wow episode." Yes, indeed, Tony. We're going to get into all of it. He says, it's either Osha or May has the correct story. Yeah, it's going to come down to who's telling the truth.
Yes, and that's what I kind of like about. That's the second thing I kind of like about this episode. It's a, like, I don't know how you say it, like a police investigator type show. Like we're trying to put the puzzle pieces together as the whole fandom watches it. Like it's.
And
I wasn't expecting this.
Things.
I wasn't expecting this is how it's gonna go. I actually quite like this. I think it's different and it's kind of new for Star Wars, which
yeah. And as Tony says here, Soul might be the bad guy. Yeah, they're kind of setting him up to have. If he's not a bad guy, he has a lot of secrets. And so I think that we're gonna obviously maybe next episode. Well, next episode is episode 6, and then episode 7 is going to be directed by the same person that directed episode 3, which was the flashback episode. So we can anticipate that we might get more information on what actually happened on Brindok in episode 7. And then episode 6, we still are missing quite a few Well, I say quite a few. We're still missing some scenes from the trailers. There's a scene where Master Saul's ship is kind of like falling out of space, I believe. We're also missing a couple of scenes where I guess it will be Osha now is going to be on what looks like the planet Octu, and maybe she's going to um, kind of get in touch with her dark side. A lot of fans have speculated that maybe there's going to be a bit of a switcheroo, and we're going to see May kind of be redeemed and kind of switch to that more light side, and Osha is actually going to flip and become dark side.
So
Because
what you're telling me is they're doing what they should have done with the sequels.
Ray go to the dark side and Kylo go to yeah. Well, Tony says, I think this is a question for you. Is this better than the sequels? Give me your short version, short answer to that.
As of right now, this is looking like a better story than the sequels. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Tony said Basil will be crucial later, which is true. But it looks like Basil was at the end there was teased to kind of be the person or whatever he is he's going to be the way that they kind of probably discover that the twins were that May
Switched. Yep.
switched them out. Um, uh, let's see. Tony says there's a lot of background information to be revealed. Absolutely. I mean, we still have a lot to learn, and like you said, I think that's one of the cool things about this show. I'll give the show that is it's keeping me on my toes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, would you say, in your opinion, we got a lot revealed in this episode, or do you think that we didn't learn very much in this episode?
Like I said, I think the nonverbal cues of everything, like everyone kind of looking around at each other and kind of like this quiet understanding, like what they're maybe thinking in their head
Mm-hmm.
is not what their actions are doing necessarily. Like they're thinking something entirely else, but everyone's still trying to play their part of where they fit in. Yeah, they're trying to keep everything together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I've been liking this show. Like I said, I've it's really kept me on my toes. My big question to you, and I don't know if I want to ask it now or later, but I'll do it now so I won't forget. Is
Mm-hmm.
like, who are you starting to believe more at this point?
Well, so I'm thinking I'm from Osha's perspective. In what we see in episode 3, Osha's perspective, I think she's obviously we're missing a lot of the puzzle pieces. We don't know who killed the
Sure.
witches. We don't know who actually started the fire. It was always believed that Meg was, and she's like, they brainwashed you. Um, and so I think it's not a matter of who I believe. I know Osha doesn't know the truth, and I know that Saul is lying about
Mhm.
something. Um, so I don't think it's a matter of who I believe more, but I think I'm definitely, obviously, I know that what Osha saw is not factual. Um,
Sure.
and I think like we've talked about the things that we like about the episode. I think that we can kind of get into some of the nitty gritty things. Obviously, I really liked the fight scenes. Uh, Tony says head twist death, R rating, 3 lightsaber death. She's not coming back. Yeah. Um,
Oh, yeah, and that was the other thing. I'm gonna get into something I don't like. They freaking killed off Yord, and I am peeved about it. I am so
well, they
mad.
didn't just kill off Yord; they killed off everybody else.
They
That's
killed
why I
off
titled
everyone, but I'm
the
like,
thumbnail says "almost die" because at this, I mean, that was a big thing that Kymir was talking about, right? Is like if he's truly revealed to be the Sith, he's like, I got to kill you all now.
but it
But
makes sense. But if we go along with this logic now, like it makes sense if there might have been a Sith around, and he killed everyone, so the story never got back.
yeah, so it's like Saul has to die at some point. So, okay, so here's a few things. This is just off the top of my head that I had issues with this episode.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Number one of my issues was, and it's one of those things where you kind of just have to draw it out because that's what we're doing here. We kind of have to draw out the story.
Sure.
Kymir had, I feel like, a lot of opportunities to kill everybody. When he finally gets his helmet taken off and he's like, I have to kill everybody. Why didn't he just kill May right then? Why didn't he just, start fighting Saul? I mean, if it was really that important for him not for it not to get back that the Sith are back, get back to the Jedi that the Sith are back. Why did he waste so much time? Because now he has a rogue Jedi out there
Well,
in
so
Saul. It's like he didn't.
yeah. No, yeah, I get your point. But like you
This
said,
is.
if they're going by the rule of two, and what we always known about the rule of two is the Padawan always the Padawan always takes another pupil and tries to overthrow the master, becomes powerful enough to do that, right?
Mm-hmm,
So if you're going for that way, like I feel like I feel like he's using the opportunity of what he has. So like he's been trying to get May to see for a while now by using or by using May to get to Osha. Like he's wanting to make her see that he's not everything is as it seems, but he's wanting someone to do it, and I feel like that's his opportunity now. Like
mm-hmm.
he's now sees an opportunity with Osha since they switched. Like, okay, you're gonna really know the truth now. I think that's what he's trying to get to.
Yeah,
If that's
yeah. He
if
must.
that's the end goal.
Well, and he must see an opportunity. So he takes Osha because I think he sees an opportunity for a pupil in her. She
Yeah,
has, that's one of the things that a lot of people were talking about in episode 3 is why did and a lot of people were theorizing that maybe Soul, uh, Master Soul, is actually the Sith Master, because he took a young girl from Brindok, the young girl being Osha, who was so consumed with fear and all these things that one would suspect would lead to the dark side. He took
that's
her in
interesting.
knowing that she had all of these things, and someone's like, maybe he's the Sith Lord who's infiltrated the Jedi. Is like, and I think, and whether he is or not, Kymir knows this, and he senses that,
Yeah,
and he sees an opportunity in Ocean now. I guess my thing was like, gosh, again, it's going to be interesting. I'm not saying that it's all the continuity of the canon is all messed up because we still have plenty of weeks to go. We have 3 more episodes, but Saul's either going to have to die or
something
something's going to
because
have to happen.
happen because you can't because you can't have a Sith already have entered the Jedi before Palpatine, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at
To
least you
our
can't
knowledge.
you can't at least you can't make it to where the Jedi, I mean, the High Council knows, unless they do the whole thing where all the Jedi are just involved in some massive cover up, where they know that the Sith have returned and they just tell everybody, including the Senate, like, "Oh no, it's fine. It's not. We dealt with it. It's not a big deal," and they just cover it up. And that's why when Qui Gon's like, "I think we're dealing with the Sith Lord," Yoda and Windu are like,
Yeah,
"I don't know. We're just gonna have to
yeah.
see how it all
We're
plays
gonna
out."
we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
The other
I Go ahead.
the other thing that I think why this episode hit for me was kind of what I was saying earlier though, was the pull at my heart for Yord and for or not Yord, for Soul and for Osha. Like, and it's really on Osha's part because
Hmm.
I can feel the pull to both sides. She's like when she's crying in her sister's arms, you can feel that and you're like she wants to believe her. but then
Mhm.
she fights it back. She fights off the emotions, right? She has been trained as a Jedi, and she's like, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with my instincts here.
Mhm.
But she's kind of at this place of Anakin of just like, I need to figure out what happened,
Yeah.
but she doesn't want to yet. Like that's the hard thing, and that's
Mhm.
why I really feel for this episode, and I feel for her. Like I was putting myself in her shoes. Like that's a hard thing to swallow, like hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Honestly, of like being in that place.
Yeah. It was. We'll get into that, a little bit of that dialogue towards the end there, because I think that there's some interesting things with that dialogue towards the end. Um, we have Star Wars politics. I was on the stream with him, or Star Wars politics was on the stream with Star Wars Santa, and I asked him to come join us tonight, and he made it. So Star Wars politics, thank you for being here. Glad to see you. Says, do we think the Sith knows that May switched clothes with Osha? I believe he knows she saved his life with the pip light and Ma, so he spared her life. Technically, Osha did save him. I think he knows. Um, I think that Chimere knows that um, that they did switch. I think he can sense that this is Osha. What do you think, Journeyman?
Sith, do you think the Sith knows that May switch clothes with Osha? I believe. Well, didn't she have that like tattoo of like something on her right side? So
Well,
it was like a marking or something. Like it was.
yeah. Well, I don't know
So
if it was
I think that's why he
he
covers
knew.
her.
Was it a
Like
marking or was it like a wound or something that he
no, I think it was a marking. If we
marking?
like it looked like a tattoo. That's what it kind of looked like to me. It like I don't know what it symbol it
Mm-hmm.
was. I can't really remember it, but it looked like a tattoo to me.
Well, now that
And
you
then
say
he
marking, doesn't May have the witch markings on her forehead? So
no,
isn't
it's not. It's not the same marking. I know.
well, I know, but is doesn't she have the witch's markings on her forehead? So won't Soul know? She cut the
Yeah,
hair off.
but the hair covers it. It still
Hmm.
covers it. It's still long enough to where it wouldn't show it.
See, Star Wars politics says looks like a saber burn. Maybe I was thinking it was like a saber burn. So, but I think your point follows of maybe he knew, like since whatever it distinguished her from May in some way. I think that's the point that you're making is he was able to
Yes,
distinguish. I
and I
thought
think
he
that's
like tried
why
to
I.
force heal her, which I thought was only a Jedi power, but I don't know.
Um, who knows at this point?
Mm-hmm.
It probably still canon's gonna break, but it's still better right now than the sequel. So that's um I think that's my point though, is like he knew. So
Mm-hmm. He didn't know for sure.
I think that's why he covers her.
Yeah.
And he says whatever he says, like in that dialogue, I forgot kind of what he says, but basically it was like it's funny how destiny or like fate has a way of working
Mm-hmm.
things out. Something like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah. And Star Wars politics here is um kind of saying what we said here is like Sith Lord Chimera wants to try and turn Osha. He must feel she is more powerful in some type of way. Yeah, I think what we were saying, Star Wars politics is, I think that he recognizes the fear in her, the conflict, and I think that he's going to leverage that and try to use that to his advantage in training a pupil because that's what he wants. That's what he tells Soul is I want a pupil. I want freedom. He wants the freedom to be able to use the power as he pleases. Which what did you make of that line? He's like, want the freedom to be able to use my power as I please. Was he saying he wants the Sith to be able to come back and he has something against the Jedi in the sense of he feels like the Jedi are oppressive, it seems like. And
I
he feels that the Jedi don't allow people to use their power in a certain way, sort of like the witches said. I don't know. Is that what you got?
sure.
Well, chat, let me know what you got by his when he said I want freedom.
I think hmm, let me think about it. I think they're trying to do kind of I get one side of it where he's like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to use it for my own benefit, and that's kind of what the Sith want. They want to use the power, the fear, the anger for their own benefit. I sort of get
Mm-hmm.
that. When he wants to do it as he pleases, I think that's his personal vendetta against, at least my opinion, on both sides. I feel like his character might be one of just like, I don't want any rules set for me. I hate
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
kind of the Sith rules, like you have to have the rule of two or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that is. But he also hates the way the Jedi does it. He just hates the rules part of everything.
Yeah, he just wants to
Like
be able to roam and
he wants to be able to roam and do what he wants when he wants to. He
mm-hmm.
doesn't want to have to have the rules be dictating him, and that's kind of what the Sith do. But they still follow a somewhat code like in a
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
They still can do pretty much whatever they want, but they still have some sort of structure, I guess, to them.
Yeah. Yeah. We have Travis here. Travis says, "How's it going, guys? They went the predictable route, which shows they weren't really trying to hide anything, and I respect it." Yeah, this show has a really interesting way of trying to like not be sneaky, but try to like they're trying to do the slow reveals type of things, but it has a
No,
way
and
of being extremely, extremely predictable, in my opinion.
it's
Would you agree with that?
predictable, but somehow I'm still like
It's
in
still
really intrigued by
intriguing
yes. Like
because
we
it's
knew
Star
it.
Wars.
Uh, Probably. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still intrigued by the story. That's kind of the whole point. Like if you
Yeah.
can I feel like that's more to their credit in my personal opinion. If you can still predict the story and still be intrigued by the next episode
Hmm.
of what's kind of going to go on, like I'm like Travis said, like I actually respect it.
Yeah. Yeah. For
I
sure.
still think it has its flaws, but you know,
Star
like
Wars
anything.
politics. Yeah, Star Wars politics says OSHA and us, the audience, still have a lot to learn and the whole truth of what actually took place on their home planet. Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot to learn. A lot to learn. Travis says hot take, but this may be the best Star Wars combat I've seen since the prequel trilogy. I would agree with that. In terms of lightsaber combat, for sure, I think that this is the best that we've seen from the sequel trilogy. And Tony upvotes that. He's like, yes, Travis, yes. Um, so yeah, that there was the combat was great. I do like where the story is going. Again, still a little bit of like, man, if I was Chimera, I would have just wiped everybody out. If I was really concerned with my identity being revealed, but I mean, he had just been fighting Saul that whole time. I think he knows Saul is powerful. Um, yeah, it's and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stood out to me of like, wow, that was just. I mean, let's talk about Jackie and Yord. That was I kind of had a feeling that that was going to happen. Someone had posted on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it that we don't see Jackie or Yord in any of the scenes and the rest of the trailer, and it's like maybe they're going. That whose death was more emotional in your opinion, Jackie or Yord? Like what got you in the feels?
I don't know. I kind of started to like Jackie there for a second, but then they killed off Fjord, and then I'm like, uh, I. It was so quick, so abrupt, but it's still like it was one of those shocking deaths to me. I'm like, I thought he was supposed to be a main character here. Like we're gonna kill him off like that.
It was one of those things where I they did a good job. I'll give them this. I mean, especially for Jackie, it was like because
Yeah,
it was three like boom, boom, boom. Like you just see her get
but
stabbed three times, quick.
I think the point though with her though is she was still a Padawan, yet she
Mm-hmm.
fought valiantly, but she still had to die. Like I think they did a
Yes.
good thing
Mm-hmm.
of like killing her off. Like there was no way she could survive that fight, and I think
Mm-hmm.
they did a good job of killing her off. Like
Yeah, I mean, they had to, and then with
they
Jord,
had
I
to.
was like, oh boy, like I had a feeling like, are they going to do this right now? Are they going to do this? And it was like boom out of nowhere, and it was it. it was interesting. This might be a minor gripe, and I apologize in the chat. I'm not trying to go too negative on this. My only gripe is I wish they would have fleshed those characters out just a little bit more. Um, I felt something when they died because, like, I felt like I had knew them enough.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to feel something a little bit more, um, and I don't know. That was just kind of my thing. I mean, but like I said, I still felt something, so I can't go too hard on it. I was just shocked. One thing I will say, and before I go into more in depth on some of my criticisms here, um, one thing I will say is that I feel like I'm gonna have to watch this episode at least one more time to fully let things soak in. So much was happening in that episode where I don't even know if I can honestly give a fair rating on you know, um, what my score for this would be, but we'll get into it in a little bit. For those watching, we're talking about the Acolyte episode 5. We're reacting to it. If you're new here, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we're inching closer and closer each day. We're at 695. We're also trying. We have 2 memberships. Our goal is to get 5 memberships. So if you're not a member, consider becoming a member. There's a lot of fun perks, and you get the fancy little loyalty badge like to Senator Tony. Next to Senator Tony. That's a great way to support the channel, and I really, really would appreciate it. Star Wars Politics here says, my only critique in that scene is every time Saul and Chimere's fight got interesting, they would cut away like 3 times, I swear. I agree. Did you find that the editing of this was just very awkward at times? Did anybody else in the chat? We got 5 people here, which is amazing. Thank you all for being here. People in the chat, did you find that the editing was a little bit wonky? Like, I agree with politics here. I felt like when things were just getting good, they would cut away. And I know that we were balancing a lot. We were going back and forth. Um, but I don't know. There's something about it. I was like, this is odd. How did you feel about that, Dreamin'?
I I agree. It kind of got a little bit annoying, but I think that was kind of the point of it. It's like it wanted to make you go. It wanted you to stay in that moment and keep in those moments for like the slow times when you would cut back. You're like, okay, what's happening? Like it kind of kept
Mhm,
you engaged in that way,
mhm, mhm.
and it wasn't just like a drawn out fight sequence or anything like that. Like it kind of kept you in the moment.
Yeah. Tony says that's typical editing. It occurs in the final fight at Mustafar. Yeah, I know what you mean, Tony. Because you're right. I mean, it goes back and forth. You have the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and the battle between Yoda and Darth Sidious. So there was a lot of back and forth. Travis says, as someone who's edited professionally, I didn't see a problem. There were a lot of wipes, but it was building a sense of anxiety that this guy is literally dealing with 3 groups of people. Yeah. I don't know. Like a small gripe. It didn't take me out of the episode too much. I need to go back and watch it. Like I said, I don't think I let a lot of these things fully soak in for me. I got to go back and watch it and be like, what actually just happened? Um,
As as I was watching it though, I felt like I was watching a little bit of Moon Knight. For anyone that's watched Marvel, like Chimera kind of had that multiple personality disorder. He looks at O'Shea Man, he goes, "Oh hi!"
oh
like he
hi,
flips
yeah,
pages,
his
and he
dialogue and Travis said this last week. I think it fits perfectly. The guy that needs to be in a Transformers movie. He's just like that comedic relief. He doesn't. That was the other small gripe. He's very very powerful in the Force. But did he what the dialogue, the things he was saying? I was like, is this guy really a Sith Lord? Like, I don't know. I was like, you got to do a little bit better job at selling me on this. I mean, yes, we know he's powerful. He just killed a whole bunch of Jedi. You know, held it his own against Master Saul and all of these people. But
I don't know.
there were
I
some
was just
things
kind
that
of
he
thrown. I
said.
was yeah. I was kind of thrown back by that. He's like he just changes his attitude there for a second. And he's like, oh hi, like hi Osha, hi May, or whoever he was talking to. It's like, um, okay, I guess we're gonna go down this road.
Yeah. Travis says there was something frenetic and scary that he keeps leaving during a fight to surprise someone else. That shot when he's running out of the woods towards OSHA was terrifying. I, I don't remember that one off the top of my head, Travis, but when he ran
No,
after Jackie, that was freaky.
I think he's referencing the one where Osha's running away, and I think he's in her mind, kind of like talking through the force or something like that, like where
Mm-hmm.
she can kind of see him.
Yeah, I don't. It was. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
No,
about.
it was May, right?
Well,
It was May for
no,
that.
yeah, it was May. Remind me that scene, Travis. I remember that happening for Jackie. He ran out of the woods and like came after her.
Also, my
Um,
other gripe, I don't know if you like this or not, but my other gripe with it is when May got in handcuffs,
mhm.
she ran away from the fight.
Yeah, she
And
kept
I'm
running.
like,
Which and
and my whole point to that was like, if there was ever a moment, your master, ex master, whatever at that point is fighting everyone. The moment
mhm,
you can prove yourself at that point, even though he heard you like you were going to betray him or whatever, that's fine. But you had an opportunity to have your knife or whatever and go kill a Jedi without a weapon or whatever. Like,
yeah. Well, I
or
don't know
not
what her
you.
motive is at this point. I think her motive was trying to get OSHA back, and then OSHA didn't, and she had that really. The, okay, so again, small critique. Everybody, hold on. It's fine. It's fine. Just a small critique, in my opinion. The ending where you have OSHA and May, and they kept cutting back and forth. The same actress, so they didn't want to. They couldn't easily
Show
show
her
them on
face
this.
at the face,
So
yeah.
they would show this face and then they would show this face. I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, they have to do that. It makes it easier. It didn't take me out of the story. But some of the dialogue in that scene, when she force pushes it, she was like, you never knew how to block or something like that. And I was just like,
It's yeah, I
what
don't know. I don't.
does anybody anybody in the chat did anybody can anybody tell me what OSHA's motive is at this point? Because she went from wanting to kill all four Jedi.
May.
May, I'm sorry. Yeah, May's uh what is her May's motive at this point? She went from wanting to kill all four Jedi to when she sees OSHA. Travis last week convinced me, okay, the quick turn was because she realized that she didn't need to do this because OSHA's alive. And I was like, okay, maybe I can somewhat rationalize. So now when she has OSHA, OSHA is like, I'm going to place you under arrest because of you killed all these Jedi. And now she's like, boom, you never could block. And then she's like, okay, now I'm going to take your clothes and go with Master Saul. Is she going to kill Master Saul? Why didn't she do that when she had the chance? What is her motive? Someone explain it to me.
I can't
Do you
explain.
know?
I'm
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I'm so confused. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like she had a perfect opportunity to kill a Jedi without a, a
I don't think
weapon.
she cares about killing the Jedi anymore. I don't know
I
what her motive is.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know
Uh,
either. That's kind of the whole point of this.
Star Wars
Is like you
Politics
don't.
says Kymir is the casual Sith. He's just like, yeah, it's he was funny. There was a couple lines where he said some things. I'll have to go back and watch it. And I was like, this is just I feel like right now it seems cringy to me because this guy is supposed to be a Sith Lord apprentice, we think. But Kymir, ever since Travis said he should fits in a Transformers movie, I'm like, I can't get that out of my head. But maybe it will just become okay. Sorry, I just read something. I literally wrote this down. Travis says, "Oh, I can give a critique. When OSHA tells Yord they're attracted to light, then she proceeds to pull out her flashlight and hold it up for about 30 seconds." I literally wrote that down. I I said, you can't read it, but I said, why did she pull out the flashlight? Why did she pull out the flashlight? She tells Yord, turn your lightsaber off. They're attracted to light. Proceeds to take out flashlight and wave it up in the air. was like, what is going on?
I thought maybe it was just the lightsaber lights, but no, it's just every light.
I was like, why did she take off the I mean, they were alluding, they were foreshadowing the fact that she's politics says she was trying to lead them off to the Sith. Yeah, she ends up doing that after, but I think Travis and I were on the same page. There was a point before that where she points her light up in the air, I think, to find this was before. Tony says the flashlight was to get to the Moss to follow them. Yeah, I know that was how they got the Moss to follow them back to Chimere. There was a point where she was like, "You are turn off your lightsaber," and then she proceeds to turn on her flashlight. And this was before the plan to take them to Chimere. I know what you guys are saying, but I literally wrote it down, and I can't be crazy because Travis literally had the same critique. So just throwing that out there. Let's see. Chimere, this is Travis. Chimere is the conspiracy theorist roommate who annoys Sam Woodwicki with grainy pictures of Decepticons during the Last Supper. Then snorts freshly. She does. Yeah. Yeah. Tony says, okay, bad editing. I'll rewatch. Yeah, go back and watch it because she's like, turn off your lightsaber, Yord. And then she proceeds to turn on her flashlight, and it was confusing.
I don't think that's bad editing. That's just bad dialogue.
I don't know. Let's see. I missed some chats here. We have DM is in the chat. Thank you for being here. DM, glad to have you. He says smash like, join. Appreciate you being here and hitting that subscribe button if you weren't here subscribed already. Let's see. Travis says the moment he said no to Saul is when I knew it was Chimere. Yeah, that was a very Chimere thing to say. Let's see. Star Wars Politics said, like I said earlier in Star Wars Santa Stream, it is getting hard to differentiate the twins, especially now. Haha, like Eric and Hot D. Yeah, it's well now. Whenever she cuts the hair off, it's going to be hard to distinguish. But I just found those the dialogue at the end there between the sisters to be really kind of funky and funny. But maybe
I
that was
felt it
just
heart. It was heartfelt. I wanted to see the same faces in the.
DM says, very good point, man. Thank you, DM, for recognizing the fact that my critique is valid. I assume that's what you're talking about, but I was just like, why did you wave the lightsaber up in the air? Anyway. Politics says, I kind of felt what her plan was. Lightsaber gives off more powerful light. The flashlight is a lighter light. The pip light is powerful enough to make the moths attract. Yes. You know, it's one of those things. Just go back and rewatch it. I think you guys will understand where I'm coming from. DM says, sisters' motives and purpose are elusive and sadly getting pointless. Yeah, I
kind of feel that. I mean,
I don't. So DM, I can't say that they're pointless. I think that there's something there. I
just don't think we had the full picture of it.
We're not getting the full picture, and I think that it's just getting hard to understand what their motives are. I think Osha's is easy at this point. I think what we're being teased. She wants to know the truth. And that's she's like, I mean, because she literally says it, right? Soul, like, why did he say I can't trust you? Like, what are you not telling me? Like, she wants to know the truth, and that's what Chimera is going to do, is try to reveal to her the truth. May, I don't know. I don't know what she wants at this point. I think
May's is hard.
I think deep down, what she wants is for Osha. I mean, what she always wanted, even when they were little kids, is for Osha to accept who she was. And she does say that at the end. She's like, "Don't you remember where we come from? Like, don't you remember who you are?" And May wants her to come back.
I think she wants family to be whole, but the whole point of it, maybe from her perspective, even as little kids, and that's the point I'm more confused at. It was what we watched. I'm sorry, let me get my thoughts in order.
Sure.
Has all of the scenes as a kid been wrong, even to the moment where they've been fighting, or what was wrong? Is it just the part where everything goes to crap in her childhood, like
Mm-hmm.
the May Jedi murder mystery thing, or was those moments of other the other times in childhood, like them playing wanting to be sisters, all that, like was that also fabricated? Because my whole point is I think she wants family and but she wants the family to be whole.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she always, from what we understand now, is like she can't accept that one of her family members doesn't want to be there, like doesn't want to be who she is,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
never let her go. So that's kind of where I'm confused. I'm like, I don't understand May's point. Like, I I feel like OSHA has been more accepting of May's point, but May hasn't been accepting of OSHA being like, you May is like, or OSHA's like, I'm glad you were that. I want you to
Mm-hmm.
be that. Like you are still family to a certain extent, right? Like, but that doesn't mean I have to go down that road with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's great that we're still blood family members, like by blood, but I'm not going to go down that necessary path of being a witch or whatever they are at that point. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of my whole point. It's very
Mm-hmm.
confusing from May's perspective
Yeah.
of what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Tony says, I agree. The focus is on the Sith and Soul rather than twins. The twin story is becoming second now. I think it will come back up and become important later on. Tony, I think what the show, but I think that the show is going to have to do a really good job of like showing us why the twin story is important at this point. Um,
Hmm.
I think what the show, I think we're gonna have to wait till episode 8 to really understand what this show is truly about. Is it about May and Osha? Is it about the rise of the Sith? Is it about the fall of the Jedi? I think it could be about all three. But what I think it's lacking at this point is what's the like what story are we supposed to be focused on the most?
Most, yeah.
And not that that makes it bad. I think it's just like I think the twins in particular, it's becoming a little bit more secondary. I honestly think what could potentially help with that, and what I was hoping they would kind of do. A lot of people were saying that they didn't want this to be a flashback episode. I think that they need to start slowly introducing flashback scenes back into these episodes and not wait till episode 7, like some people think is when we're going to get the next one. Because what
Yeah.
I think we need to get some light shed on to
We need to
what's
get some
actually going
answers
on here.
because I felt like what they were doing is they're starting to unravel. Like, we were kind of already doing that in the beginning, but like, we need to really start unveiling the truth or the whole picture about it now because I think it's going to get too confusing to a point where it's like, are we even are we even caring about that story anymore?
Yeah, yeah. Tony says, but Basil will be the key. Travis says May said she wanted to turn herself into the Jedi, come clean, and escape her master. But it's when she realizes her master's on the planet, is with her, that she gets desperate. Yeah,
But I don't think
yeah.
she knew. She didn't. No, 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 no. She never knew that he was on the planet until like the
Well, she
fight
didn't.
because
Yeah, she didn't know that it was Chimera. She
yeah,
says he's here in the last episode.
because
Um,
she's never seen his face before. He's
mhm.
always been mastered hiding somewhere. He's never seen her face to face.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, Travis. I don't know. I'm a little again. I'm confused on what her motive is at this point. I think she kept running away, so I think obviously she was trying to escape. I don't think that she really cares about killing the Jedi anymore. I think what we kind of discussed is accurate. I think at the end of the day, she just wants her family, And all she ever wanted was for Osha to stay on Brindok, become a witch, and have one big happy family. And the Jedi ruined that for her. Because she tells Osha, don't go back with them. And that's what I was like. She's saying, remember where you came from and things like that. It's like she believes that the Jedi ruined it. So perhaps maybe the fact that Osha is still unwilling to go with her, maybe she is going to enact some type of revenge on Soul. Or
I still feel like I think she blames the Jedi still for even just showing up, that they were potentially going to take both of them,
yeah,
but she still can't get over the fact that Osha chose the Jedi.
yeah,
No matter what happens, I feel like unless that's ruined too, like she wasn't forced or she was forced to go with him or something like that, that changes. But like from what we know, like she chose the Jedi. Like
mm-hmm,
she made the choice. She just didn't like that choice.
mm-hmm,
She couldn't bear the weight of her sister going on somewhere else. She wanted
yeah,
her to stay with him.
yeah. Star Wars Politics says May realizes Osha is telling the truth. Soul saved her and turns to the light, while Osha realizes the horrible truth May was trying to tell her and turns to the dark side. Yeah, I think we really could be seeing a switcheroo here by the end of the episode, which will be really interesting. I think what will be even more interesting is, does Osha and May survive this, and where does it go from there? So, um, Travis says cynically, May's motivation could be to expose to the whole Jedi Council that Saul did to humiliate him and make them look bad for taking children. Now, this, I was actually about to say this, actually, Travis.
That could
I'm
be.
wondering if maybe her motivation is, how do you kill a Jedi without using a weapon? Maybe, and I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but maybe there's a metaphor in there. Like she's not actually going to kill him literally. She's going to kill his reputation. She's going to literally destroy, or
Destroy
her
him.
motive is to destroy the Jedi Order by exposing him in what he did. Because we keep talking about, this is a whole show about cover-ups is really what it is. And there's a
Mm,
cover-up with the witches, and there's the cover-up potentially with Chimere, Sith Lord Chimere. I don't know what we're gonna call him now. But they're it's all about cover-ups, and that could be what May's doing, is like, I'm going to tell you that tell the Jedi the Sith are out there, and I'm going to tell them what happened on Brindok. So I agree with you, Travis. That could be your motivation. That would make sense to me. We'll see what actually happens, though. DM says Chimera was fun. It's up to him and Saul to save the show, unless we get Chimera's master. I see your point on the twins, but the writing is done by an intern. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I think that Saul is one of the better parts of the show. When Jackie dies, I really felt that in that actor. Jackie, like that was his Padawan, and you could definitely, I felt more seeing him react than I did actually seeing Jackie die. So he's fantastic. Chimera is really fun too, I think. It was really interesting. Do you think that, and you all let me know in the chat as well, do you think there's anything to when Osha told Yord, my mother could do that? Like when he was talking about how he gets inside your head and just stays there, and Osha was like, my mother could do that once, or my mother could do that. Do you think there's anything to that? Like perhaps
mm.
Chimere is affiliated with the witches somehow, or maybe he's involved at some level. I was just kind of curious on what that meant, and if that had you know,
Mm,
any carried any real weight.
no, I mean, from what we know about everything, I mean, both Jedi and Sith can get into your head, and then the witches can get into your head. I think it's you can take that for what it is. I think that's kind of up for interpretation at that point because the Jedi can do Jedi mind tricks. The Sith can like manipulate your mind and
Mm-hmm.
deceive you, and then the witches, I don't know what they're getting into your head, just kind of like mind reading, I guess, or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it at that point. It's kind of up for interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah. Travis says optimistically, May just needs to get away from her master, but still wants to save Osha, telling the Order what's going on and what she knows so they can get her back. Yeah. Um,
But but she, hmm, well, why? But that's my question. Why take her place? Why leave her there? Like she had everything. She could
yeah.
explain it all. Like she could she could have grabbed um, Soul, could have grabbed Osha, and like
Well,
started
maybe
running away.
she could
And
she could still feel Osha's connection with the Jedi, right? She still knows that there's that connection there. Maybe
sure,
she's like, in order for Osha to come to your senses, she feels like she has to destroy the Jedi so that Osha has nothing to fall back on.
mm,
So maybe there's a motive there. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Basil actually has the key. Yes, Basil is going to be instrumental in where this
Basil is
goes
the
from
way.
here. This is the way. Travis's soul was about to come clean to Osha before he was stunned. He now thinks May is Osha, so he's likely just going to start telling her on the ride back, May being caught off guard by it. Well, yeah, so I mean that could happen, but what's
But did you feel okay? My question to that is, did you feel like it was a genuine about to be told truth, or was he still gonna try and conjure up something to where he wasn't gonna tell her the full truth?
I think he was going to tell her the full truth, and I just found of a really interesting thought after I read
Go
that
ahead.
comment, Travis. That so there was I think it was in a Star Wars Meg video actually that I watched, and somebody who watches Meg or anybody who knows this can let me know in the chat. But I believe there was an interview done by the actor who plays Master Saul, and he said at some point in this series, he's going to be faced with a big moral dilemma.
Mm,
And maybe he's already come to that. Maybe the moral dilemma is like telling Osha, what actually happened. I don't think that that's it. Travis, you could be on something. What if May somehow, some way can like record him, be like get Soul to tell her his point of view of what actually happened on Brindok. She like records him. He realizes from Basil or whoever that this was actually May, and like she's planning on turning this in and like ruining his life. What if he then faces the moral dilemma of like not that he necessarily has to kill her, but like am I gonna
telling
be
Osha.
noble and let her tell the truth on what happened, or am I going to step in and rectify the situation by I don't know killing May, destroying the record? You know what I mean? Like he could face a moral dilemma of am I going to let this play out as the force is kind of
Mhm,
drawing it, or am I going to try to step in, take matters into my own hands, and
mhm.
try to
So
keep the truth from being revealed? You know what I mean?
yeah, or
I don't
just
know.
do the noble thing, and if it's bad enough, you know,
Just get kicked off. Yeah.
yeah,
DM says, "Thanks for making me like the show. I hated it in the beginning. You helped me keep an open mind." Well, that's great, DM. I'm liking the show so far. This is as cool as this episode was. I don't know if you feel the same way, Journeyman, but there were some things about it that I just didn't hit for me. I'm really curious. Tony, I don't know if you're still in the chat. You'll have to let me know what Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, thought about this. Um, Star Wars politics. I'm sure you'll be in Star Wars Santa's stream tomorrow for the predictions. I know you play the predictions game. I submitted my predictions. I'm curious to see what Santa thought of this. Um, I don't. What do you guys think? Was this one of your favorite episodes? I can't say that this one was for sure one of my favorites, but I don't really know which one would be my favorite. I don't
I
know.
think in terms of action, it was definitely my favorite. In terms of dialogue, not really. I don't think there was that enough of the dialogue to actually be good.
Yeah, I don't know. Travis says, I think it would be nice to have May about to kill Saul, only he starts telling the story of what happened without being asked and expressing his guilt to Osha about May, not knowing it is her. Yeah, that could be. He's like, if he starts talking to May, thinking it's Osha, being like, I wish I could have, showing that compassion for May could be the difference of her being like, okay, it's actually better, which would just go in line with her character of the quick switches, which I don't even know if I would be a fan of at this point, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Travis says, for a moment, I thought they were hinting around that Chimere was Soul's son. That would be an interesting twist. Travis says, yes, Ryan. Yord says Chimere has no technique or style. So him getting into people's head is likely a hint. He studies different forms of the Force, implying he studied the witch's teachings. Yeah, I mean, he could. That's a good point. It's like he's just using whatever power he has. I mean, there seems to be this reoccurring theme, like we already talked about, between Chimere and the witches of like they want freedom. They want the ability to do what they want without having to feel like they're getting
Punished for it.
punished for it or policed in some way, which I think is an
Yeah.
interesting underlying message that we don't necessarily have to get into. But
Yeah.
um, it's interesting. So you might be onto something, Travis. Maybe he understood the witch's arts.
Hmm.
I think the notion that Yord was the only one who understood Basil is ridiculous. I think Basil goes to Yord's apprentice from episode 1 and tips her off. Then they go to Vernestra. No? Possibly. Possibly. Um, let's see. Travis says, I love that lightsaber that can deactivate the blades. Yeah, they had a lot of like malfunctioning lightsabers in this episode, which was
Which I
interesting.
didn't really. I don't know. I didn't know they could do that, but I'm.
Well, I knew that they could do that, but it was like,
I felt like it was too frequent.
yeah, it happened quite a bit, and I was like, okay, this has never happened really before all that much, and it's just happening all at one time here. So,
I also feel like I don't know. The other minor problem I had with it is when May or Chimere had May up in like the you know had her hostage, but with the lightsaber. I'm like, I would understand that if it was like Mando verse, like we're in Mandalorian stuff,
mm-hmm,
but it's literally a Jedi. Like, what are you gonna like for a Western kind of like with guns and everything? I'm like, okay, I get it. You can have a chance to shoot the guy and all that, but then I'm like,
mm-hmm,
you're fighting with lightsabers. Like, I don't
yeah,
know how you like. I just felt like that was a weird thing. I'm like, this is weird that you're holding her hostage like that. And I don't know how else you're supposed to do it, but I'm just like, to me, I'm like, for a lightsaber, he's holding him like a gun, but with a lightsaber, and I'm like, why are you kind of doing that? Like, he
yeah,
can't shoot you
yeah. I
unless
don't
he
know.
has a gun on him. I don't know. I know it's a minor, it's a very very picky thing, and it is what it is. But that's one thing I like. I've I just had that point.
Yeah, there was the because he had the Chimere had the blade that like had like two blades essentially, um, kind of like Darth Maul, which was really cool. But there was a point where he had Yord in a position where I thought like maybe he could like ignite his saber and like just get him right in the face. Um, and they didn't end up doing that, and I was like, oh, they're gonna let Yord survive, but nope, there goes Yord. That was something. That was something.
That I think that
We
was about as violent as the Kenobi episode where Vader just comes in and
yeah, yeah. It was interesting. We have Astral Guilt in the chat. Thank you, Astral Guilt, for being here. I appreciate the subscription as well. It means a lot. We're well on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So again, if you're not subscribed and you're watching this, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. And consider becoming a member as well. That helps out the channel a lot. Travis says, the helmet is clearly made with metals that are oppositely charged to the circuitry of the saber, like a magnet to a computer. Such a cool idea. I guess I didn't catch that. So was the helmet which was causing the lightsabers to malfunction? I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that either. I just thought
Yeah. Travis follows up and says there was a lot of hostage taking in this. For a moment, I did legit think he was going to stab May through the head. I did too, and I was like, that would be kind of cool.
There'd be a. I thought they were gonna actually have a moment where we get to see some head rolls, but they go behind a tree for him to slice off all the heads, and I'm like, Disney doing Disney, but okay.
Yeah, they definitely hid some things for sure. So where do we think this is going? Like, so who do we think Chimere is? What do we think that what do we think his motives are? What do we think that's going to come next for him? And like, how do we think that they're going to rectify the all must die sentiment? Because that's kind of, to sum up what this stream is all about, is like we assume that all the Jedi are going to have to die. So do you think that Saul is going to die by the end of the series?
I think so. I think what we're gonna see over the next probably couple episodes is it's gonna be the Soul and Osha show, like emotional roller coaster, as well as May's a little bit. But I feel like May's playing off his Osha right now, so May's gonna try and push as hard as she can on Soul to get to open up to her about the whole incident so that she can know the truth. And then Osha is with Chimere right now, and so she's gonna kind of be the opposite. She's gonna kind of resist wanting to know the truth wholeheartedly because part of her still wants to believe in the Jedi and everything. And then it'll take Chimere to slowly kind of reveal everything, kind of pulling that truth out of her, of being like, you're not out of her, but like letting her sink in, like, this is what happened,
Yeah.
like this is the actual truth. And so at that point, I don't know where it goes, but I feel like that's what's going to happen over the next couple of episodes.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. So to give a rating on this, like I said, I think I'm going to have to watch the episode again to give my full thoughts on it. I think on average, I think we talked about this last week, I'm sitting at like a 7.5. Not for this episode, but a 7.5 for the whole series.
Yeah.
For this episode,
just because it was actually action heavy, I'm honestly going to give it like an 8. Like I liked it just because it was the action part.
I don't know how you feel about it. I'm being honest with you. I like the action, like you're saying. The edit, there's just a few things, and like I said, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but there's a few things that just kind of took me out of the story. I like some of the editing, like the whole flashlight thing.
I think the only thing that's wanting me to bring it back to like maybe possibly just a 7 is just the overall confusing part about which story we're trying to follow. Like, what's the whole point of everything? So maybe a 7. Yeah, I'll give it a 7. That's kind of how I honestly feel. It's like I'm more confused. Not confused about the whole overall show, just confused about what story we're trying to follow and where does everyone's story kind of lead.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my trajectory here. I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5 and just keep that same trajectory. I honestly think if it weren't for the action, this would be a very poor episode. I mean, because literally the whole episode was action. So if you take away the action, there is no episode.
There's nothing. They don't have this episode.
No, I will say the action was really cool. I thought the choreography was good. Like I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Like that's what I just kind of have to keep leaning on. Right now, I'm
I will.
definitely at a 6.5. Oh, or sorry, not a
I
6.5, a 7.5. That's where I'm at. I'm sticking to it.
6.5. I do have one more little gripe I forgot to mention though.
Yeah, go for it.
Did you feel like a little bit of Ahsoka when Soul, when Soul like said, "But you are a Jedi no more," and I'm like, they're trying to
No, he
write a
said
little
you
bit
are
of
no Jedi.
yeah, something
You are
like
no
that, and
Jedi. Yeah. And then they cut away. It was one of those editing things where I was like, interesting.
yeah, I know, but that was my last really thing
I
that I
don't
didn't like.
I'm one of the things that really took me out was the dialogue when he takes the helmet off of Chimere, or when his helmet falls off, and Chimere starts talking to Saul. And like you said, when he sees me, he's like, "Well, hello." I'm just like, "You're a Sith Lord, bro." Like,
I did think the reveal was kind of cool. Having Sadeki die and like fall over to reveal it. I thought that was like,
did you say
or whatever her
Sadeki?
name was. Sadeki. I don't know. I'm just coming up with names at this point. I'm trying to remember people's names.
It was definitely Checky, and yes, it was
Becky,
like
whatever.
okay. And another thing, I will say this: I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I almost changed my opinion on who the Sith Lord was when OSHA was like, my mother used to have the ability to get people's head, and then there was a line in there that was like, Saul's like, I don't know who you are. I don't remember how it goes, but like the Chimere, who we didn't know was Chimere at the time, still was like, or no. Saul says, I feel a presence that's familiar, or I sense a presence that's familiar, or something like that. And I was like, are they really going to make this a witch? Because he felt the presence is familiar. He would have felt the Mother Coral's presence on Bryndock. And then when Osha's like, my mother could do that, I was like, they're really going to make this the witch, and we've been wrong this whole time.
We've been duped.
We've been duped. But no, it's Chimere. And he was really, really cool when they did that reveal until she saw May, and he's like, well, hello.
Hello. Yeah,
I
that
don't
kind
know.
of took that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It was just one of those things. So anyway, well, that was a good recap. Again, final plug. I just looked. We're actually at 697 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means a lot. 697. We're on our way to 1,000. That is the goal right now. And we also have memberships too. So if you want to become a member, you get a loyalty badge. You have custom emojis that you can use in the chat. The Galactic Senate audio channel in our Discord, which if you want to be part of our Discord, there's a free Discord. There should be a link to that Discord in the description. Come continue the conversation there. We're trying to build people up. We have Tony in there, Travis in there, Journeyman, you're in there. Maybe you can make a surprise appearance. But yeah, we have a lot of fun things, and becoming a member really helps support me. I don't know if y'all caught this. I was trying to use a new camera at the beginning of this stream. I don't know if you saw that, Journeyman, but I think my audio was a little bit delayed. I'll have to go back and rewatch the stream to see what was going on there. But help a brother out and become a member. Help me upgrade the technology over here. I'm glad to be streaming again. It's a lot of fun, and we'll be back on Thursday. Are you able to join me on Thursday?
Thursdays. I don't think I have anything going on.
Cool. Yeah. We could
Yeah,
talk about whatever fallout comes from this episode. I'm sure there will be some more Star Wars controversy all over the internets, and then any Star Wars news that maybe comes out, we can do that on Thursday. So, like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Look into becoming a member. I think we're going to go ahead and motion to adjourn the stream.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Trigger adjourns. Can I get someone to adjourn in the chat? Please. Please and thank you. Senator Tony, please adjourn. Senator Tony, please adjourn. Okay. We got a motion.
We got a motion.
Tony's motion. All right. May the force be with you all always.